will last forever. Together forever. This will last forever. Join together when God is joined together. Nothing or no one can put us under. This will last forever. Together forever. This will last forever. Join together when God is joined together. Nothing or no one can put us under. This will last forever. Together forever. This will last forever. Join together when God is joined together. Nothing or no one can put us under.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Marriage and Ministry, and the two shall become one. I'm so excited that you're joining us today. I have a special couple. We were just actually talking about how I met them or just started engaging with them more. And I believe we're becoming really good friends. The theme of today's show is going to be about how to support your spouse through difficulties. And we're going to get into that. But first, I want to welcome Sharonda and Jonathan Bullock to Marriage and Ministry. So we're going to get into how to support your spouse through difficulties. But first, I want to hear you all's story. So Sharonda and Jonathan, I kind of classify you all as the couple who fly under the radar. Like, how long we've been going to church together?
Because I joined in 2019.
Yeah.
So about 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years.
Before the pandemic.
Before the pandemic started, I joined the church. But she had been here before.
Yeah, I actually, when I was in college at NCCU,
Hold on, wait. Time. No, just go ahead.
I actually started, when I came home, I would go with my sister, because my sister's been here for years and years, almost since the beginning. And so after I kind of came back to Rocky Mount, settled in, I joined in 2011, I think it was. So
wow.
I was here since then. And then actually when we got married, I went to his family church. And then we came back in 2018, 19.
Yeah, 2018. So, and I feel like we have been engaging a lot the past year.
Yes.
Walk into a class in Carolina University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, on the campus of Carolina University for my doctoral program, and there sits Jonathan.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. That was crazy.
Of all places.
That was crazy in Winston. You know, getting massages, and then it's your sister.
Yes.
I'm like, what? So I just believe the Lord is very intentional with kingdom connections. If anybody know me, they know I have been talking about kingdom connections for the past year. And so I really believe the Lord is doing something with this. I'm excited to see. But I say that you all are a couple who fly under the radar because I don't think people realize that you all do a lot and you have a lot going on. You're very meek, mild, quiet, put together. Y'all look real fly today.
Thank you.
But y'all have a lot going on. So tell us about y'all. How long you been married? Talk about my babies.
Yes.
How did you meet? How did you know each other were the one? So tell your story.
Okay.
So we met.
Let him start.
we met when we were both going. I taught at Rocky Mount Prep. We both did at Rocky Mount Prep.
Didn't know that.
And so she taught in the high school. I taught in the middle school. But we had a mutual friend from before that we kind of met before that. But we didn't talk.
Yeah.
But we were around each other, but we didn't talk at all. So when she began to work there, I thought, oh, like I know you from before, and became a friendship. And then it blossomed into something where it's like I had to see where she was in the hallway.
Wow.
Where I would come out.
I say that all the time.
I would come out my room and down the hall, and I would look for Sharonda.
And I was doing the same
hallway.
thing. I was on we were on opposite ends, and I would go because my class was down the other hallway, and I was just coming to the middle of the rotunda like, So he started the stalking.
He started the stalking.
I followed back.
Yeah, you followed suit.
I did.
Follow well.
But we had an event at my old church that got canceled. So I asked her, hey, since you're not busy because it got canceled, let's go out to Raleigh. You know, let's just hang out, just go to dinner. And we did. We ended up talking for the whole night. And we didn't get home until 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So
I think it was 8, which
it was
also frame that so everybody knows.
Oh, it was
on the good church folks understand.
It was a
Good church folks.
Good church folks.
It was a
Don't tune out. Don't close it.
it was a wholesome day where we talked about each other, about our lives, about what we're going on,
Family and everything.
what we want to do in the future, and just like connecting.
Yeah.
And it was something like I've never felt that before in my life.
Right.
And it was something new. And I told my friend, and that's their son in church, I was like, I went out last night with a certain young lady, and it was the best date I've ever had.
Wow.
And I've never felt felt like this before in my life. And it just went from there. And I literally, I don't think I've missed a day since that day from seeing her or that date.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. Do you have something to add to that, Sharonda?
Yeah, I think, that for that evening, we went out to eat and stuff, and I was like, on the phone with my friends, like, it's not a date. They were like, it's a date. And I was, it's not a date. So we had the expectation of just friendship from the beginning. Even as we were, like, the connection was there, but we were still, it was still friendship. And so I think that's like the most important part of our relationship is the friendship that is our like foundation. And the fact that, I mentioned to him that I've never seen a sunrise. And so he said, oh, okay. And at this point it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. And we were literally just sitting, talking in the parking lot. We hadn't held hands the whole night. We hadn't done anything, literally just enjoying each other's company. And he said, well, you know what? I know of a spot. So he took us out, took me out into like, it was like Red Oak. Yeah, Red Oak area. And there was like a clearing of trees, and we literally just watched the sunrise, and a little hummingbird.
A hummingbird came out of nowhere just flew by the car and was just fluttering. Yeah. And it was like serendipity. Yeah. I was like, it was crazy, and it was like
things that had just never happened before. Like, just it seemed unreal. It seemed like a fucking
it seems
sappy now, kind of when you tell the story.
It seemed like a movie where like someone would like a whole long date and then watch the sunrise together. Yeah. And a hummingbird comes out of nowhere, like a Disney movie, and just say, hey, "This is it."
And the funny thing is with that, like we literally it was just like two best friends just out talking. He walked me to the door, and that was the first time we even held hands. I mean, we hadn't done anything.
Nothing, just talk.
And just talk, literally just enjoying, just I think like our spirits, and who we were able to see just in those, those matter of hours who the other person was, like genuinely, without any distractions or anyone else around, or kids, students, coming in, because they were saying from the beginning, like, oh, y'all gonna get married and all this stuff. Wow. And we were like laughing, like, oh my gosh, what are y'all talking about? So
how long did y'all date before getting married?
Okay, so here's the story. Another story. Our date was on June 6th, and we got dated for a little bit, and we got engaged July 19th. So first date June 6th of 2015. Engaged July 19, 2015.
Wow.
And then married August 8th of 2015.
Okay, first of all, that's my birthday.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Because we celebrated.
That's the connection.
So it was a quick
courtship,
I guess.
But it was a long friendship.
Right,
though.
but the thing is that we both knew that this was it. So there was no need to prolong the whole thing, and we both didn't want a big old shindig wedding. So it was like, and then. The date of August 8th, is two infinity signs, 8 and 8.
I know.
So it was so it was like, this is perfect. And then I'm a numbers guy, and so I like 8, and then 2015 is also 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 5 is 8. So 888.
Wow.
So it was 3. So and then 8 is number of like new beginnings.
New beginnings.
So it was like this was meant to be, so to speak. So it's like God was telling us this is it. And I think like I told her before, it's like if God didn't want this to happen, He wouldn't have allowed us to move in this path. And accordingly, so if God didn't want this to be like this, then He would have put something in our way to block it, or for us to, in our spirit, to move it around, or for us to delay it. But it was everything that we had wanted, or that God had laid a path for us to go to a certain point, and we just followed the path. And how many years? 7 years later, we are here right now. And then God has blessed us beyond what we both had thought we would be.
Right. Imaginable.
Yeah, imaginable. So I thank God for all the other things that happened in the past, because that led us to what we are now.
Yeah.
And even though back then it might seem like our people hear our stories like you're crazy. I don't understand how y'all got married so quick. But we this is years in the making, because everything that we've done in our lives has brought us to this point where we are now. And then we just two people come together, two souls, and then following his path.
And I think that's the most important part, that we follow His path. And I think that sets our relationship apart from anything else that we've had in the past, where He is literally our guiding light. And from the very beginning, that's where we were. So it was easy for us to accept and embrace each other and who we were and our families. And we're blended families. So John becoming a dad, suddenly, and all those things. But Sanai's our oldest, and she's 13, and she said, who had never been around anybody really that I dated or anything. And she was like, can I call him Dad? I was like, okay. I said, ask your dad. And then, you guys talk and see how you feel. And, he was like, of course, like, okay. But her dad was like, I think he's a great guy. And I think, you guys make a wonderful couple. And so he gave his blessing. And since that day, literally, he was dad. And yeah, that's it. There's no difference. There's no step. We don't use that term. Nobody steps on anybody here.
Yeah, and I think like she said there's inside me there's the spirit of being a father. So and I've always wanted to be a father, and I embraced it, and that's who I am.
It's a part of you.
Yeah, it's a part of me, and And I love it.
Yeah, Romans 8:28. Everything literally worked together for His purpose, and that's why we keep working. I think that's why we keep, we try to fly under the radar, because we want to do what it is that He has us to do. Yeah. And you can't be caught up in mess. You can't be caught up in other people, and literally being one and making sure that we're on the same page and same path constantly, because you do change as people, as individuals, but we come full circle. I think to always make sure that we stay God focused, and that we listen to Him and what He's telling us to do, and not necessarily our own desires or what we think. So I think it's really important in our oneness, to go forth together.
And I always pray when I pray. I always say, God, allow us to follow Your will, Your path. Right. To not allow me to do what I want to do, but allow me the courage and strength and conviction to follow what You want me to do instead of what I want to do. Because then, if you follow what He wants you to do, everything's gonna be fine. You're gonna be all right. And that's what we try to do here at church, or in work, or life, or parents, or like that. And like I said, that's why we fly on the radar. We don't do anything extravagant, try to show out. We just do what do what He wants us to do, what God wants to do. And we just we coast.
Mind our business.
And really I think from your story, we see, and you give God the credit. His hand moving.
Oh yeah,
just the swift courting, getting married, the blended family. You are. It's like you recognize the sovereignty of God.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And when we move into the focus of today's show, supporting your spouse through difficult times, I see that as you first have to understand the Romans 8:28, that even this difficult time is going to work together for our good. And then you are prepared, once you get your focus right, to help to support one another. But like I was saying in the beginning of the show, or before we started the recording, I met you all, or I engaged with you all the most through difficult times. So you're the passing of your nephew, Jonathan's father, and Jonathan's brother passing. It just seems like it was just a lot of loss in your life. But one of the things I can attest to is the consistency of your consoling of one another. And it was things that I noticed that you all probably, you were just doing it natural, how you would put your hand on his leg, or when he was walking in with you on your nephew's funeral, he would put his arm around you. It seems like it was just at the right time. But it just seems like it, like, man, it seems like if she wouldn't have put her hand on his leg, he would have broke down right there, but then it calmed. So talk about that. How do you all just really gear yourself to support one another during these difficult times? And then what are some lessons that you've learned about yourself, about each other, about life, about God during these difficult times? So let's start with the support part. When your spouse loses someone dear to them, it's like you hate to see them hurting, but you really can't do anything about it. You just be there. And then that person has become dear to you as well. You talked about your father-in-law. Your nephew, I'm sure, had become special to Jonathan, your brother-in-law. So talk about that support. What did you all do to make sure your spouse knew you were present at that moment? And then were there some specific things that you had to do? And either one of you all can talk, because I know you kind of supported each other.
I think, it started off with my family, I'll say. And even before my nephew, my uncle passed December 24th. My grandmother passed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Both grandmas.
January 1st. My other grandmother passed just a couple years prior to that, as well as my aunt. And then he had an uncle who passed. We could literally go on and on. But moving to just last year, my uncle passed, my grandmother passed. And then my nephew passed that year, who's only 28. That was hard. And then my stepmom, Brenda, who's
yes, I do remember that.
So that was difficult. And so for me, I was not new because I lost my father. This was long before we were together. I wasn't new to that, and then we were losing people back to back. But those things hit just a little bit different, especially with my nephew. And one of the things that I know that he did for me was he was physically present. I mean, and sometimes you don't have the words, you don't have the answer, but he was physically present, like, hey, okay, well, we're just gonna sit here in the dark, in the quiet for a while until you tell me what you need. And he listened to me and listened with intention and understanding, not just like, okay, I'll listen and let her talk and get it out. No, there were things that came back later and like, oh, he really understood what I was saying. And even, when it got to the point, because I got to a point where I was like, okay, I need to see someone, because I was dealing with so much grief. And he, we had a conversation, I don't know if you remember, in the room, and I was just like, I just don't know what else to do. Like I literally felt like physically my heart was breaking.
Wow.
And he said, in the most gentle John, manner that he could, like, hey, let's talk to somebody.
Right.
And so for me, in that moment, I mean, people, that could have gone left for either of us. Like, I could have rejected that, but I think it was important. It was a life-changing moment for me, because I saw that somebody who knows me inside and out knew that I needed to get someone else in the picture. And so he genuinely listened to everything that I said, and I think that was big, because people, when you're grieving, just kind of go, oh yeah, okay, all right. But no, he heard my heart, and he felt the things that I was going through. And then moving forward with him, we are so night and day. I don't know if you're picking up on it a little bit. So it was a learning curve for me, because I know how to support people. That's my thing. That's how I felt.
Right.
But he is such a, internalize and analyze and synthesize, and he does it all in his head. So I had to learn how to chill and just be there and just be quiet, which is not necessarily my thing. So I learned in his process with losing his dad, which also was hard for me, I mean, and his brother, that sometimes I just need to listen and just wait. Yeah. And that's what I tried to do. You know, it took some time to get there, but to listen and wait until he says, okay, this is the moment that I need. Mm-hmm. So we really had to just deal with our own things that we were, you know, going through, but then to genuinely be intentional about listening to each other and mm-hmm. what that person needs at that moment. Mm-hmm. Not what we think they need or what we would need, but what he actually needed.
And with the passing of her grandmoms and her nephew, like you said before, it was like I lost somebody. Mm-hmm. And I had lost my grandmoms when I was 8 years old, and her grandma literally became my grandma. Right. So it was like I lost somebody. Right. Even though it was her blood, I lost my grandmoms too. And it was tough. And the thing is too, just being a supporting pillar to her family, I had to be that. Right. Because everyone on her side was grieving, and I had to be, quote unquote, the man, so to speak. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And because when her nephew passed away, it was sudden, and her sister was heartbroken. Yeah, and, you know, her nephews and niece were heartbroken. She was heartbroken, and her mom was heartbroken. And her brother lives in Maryland, so he couldn't connect like he wanted to. And my nephew's dad also lived in Maryland, right? Mm-hmm. So it was like I was the only person there mm-hmm. to support her family, and I knew I had to be strong for them. Mm-hmm. Because someone had to, like she said, steer the ship. Mm-hmm. And so I couldn't buckle, I couldn't waver, because someone had to be there to hold them up because they were weak. Right. And I knew that was my job. Mm-hmm. Even though I was hurting, right. They're hurting more because they were, you know, they knew him more. Wow. They're physically, their blood. So I knew it was my job as her husband, and just being a part of the family, just to support them mm-hmm. and just be there in person. And whatever I can do, let me do it. Mm-hmm. And if you need me to do something, I want to do it without any questions. And that's what I think they needed. As she said, you have to listen to what they need, mm-hmm. to listen to because they may not say it just out loud what they need, but if you're in tune to who they are, they'll tell you what they need without actually physically verbally telling you what they need. Mm-hmm. And I know, like when my brother passed away, it was very hard on all of us. It was very sudden. Right. And I'm still grieving over it. And my dad passed away just to add another layer to my grieving. Mm-hmm. And just like she said, just her being there. Because sometimes he said I can be in my own thoughts sometimes. Mm-hmm. And she told me. She directs me when I'm lost. I tell people, like my wife is my rock, my anchor, and my wings. Mm-hmm. Oh wow, that's you know, because when I'm no, because when I'm sinking, when I'm in sinking sand, she's my rock to hold on to, so I'm not sinking. She's my anchor when I'm drifting away. She holds me still. And my wings, when we lift it up, she brings me up higher. And I got her. She's not wearing it today, but I bought charms for her.
It's in my office. I know it's in my office.
But that's what she is. She's my rock, my anchor, and my wings. Wow. And so when
I have it on my Pandora bracelet.
Yeah, Pandora bracelet. Okay. So it's like when I'm hurting, she's what I need. Wow. And she was that. So she was like, John, you go to a doctor and talk to somebody. She was what I was to her to me.
Wow, yes.
And that's what I needed, because sometimes I can get my head, but she would say, John, get in the shower, wake up, go outside, go in the grass, touch your feet on the grass, so you go get in the sun. And if I were just being alone by myself, I wouldn't have done that. I would have been in a shell. But she knew what I needed. Mm-hmm. She saw in me what I needed, and she forcefully go and do something. And she was the motivation I needed to do something, because my mom wasn't in the space to tell me anything, but she was there. And I thank God, because when I was going through my stuff, my grief, it's like I thank God Sharonda is here with me.
Right.
Because no one else, anyone else that I've been with would not have dealt with me how she was. And she's here for a reason.
Yeah.
And I thank God for allowing him to put her in my life for this reason. Because if she wasn't here, I would go berserk.
Wow.
I would go crazy. I would be my shell. I wouldn't do nothing. I was literally sitting in a room in the dark with TV on, not doing anything. But she guided me to this new life that I'm experiencing for the first time. And it's like I'm glad that she's here in my life to just to hold my hand through this dark time, difficult time. And even now I'm still going through stuff. I'm still experiencing things that I never experienced before, and just her being there. We went to Walmart one time, and she was saying stuff, and I was like, I'm getting anxiety. So she knew what to do when that occurred. So she was like, okay, let me pull back and allow you to do what you have to do in your mind. And
Jonathan, you talked about being the rock to the family when you knew you had to do it.
Right.
And then you refer to Sharonda as, being what you needed, your rock, your anchor, your wings. And you both kind of referred to it, or Jonathan referred to about you both. You did it. It's not like something you even felt equipped to do, even in yourself.
Right.
If somebody would have told me, this is how I would have responded. I would have been like, no, I'm gonna be crying with the rest. I'm gonna be all on the floor. They're gonna have to pick me up. No, that's not it. What do you think happened in that moment for you to become what your spouse needs? Or do you think it's just an automatic because you're their spouse?
I think it's kind of automatic because it's like, we're in this together. It's you and me. There's no one else. And
we say that all the time.
Yeah, it's just you and me, because parents, sister, brother, kids, whatever, at the end of the day, God put us together.
Right.
He put you and me together for a reason. And there's a reason why you're my help meet. You know what I'm saying? You help me meet the things that I can't do on my own. And it's automatic because it's like a puzzle piece. We fit together. Whatever I'm lacking, she got. Whatever she's lacking, I got. And that's what I think is incredible about our marriage, because it's like you said, when we're during the funerals, or it's like the hand here or hold here.
Yeah.
It's like we know each other's movements, what's next. And even now, we finish, we say the same thing at the same time. All the time. And it's like,
and we're so different in so many ways.
And you keep talking about that. How are you different? Just name a few.
So I'm fire, he's ice. Like I am up and I'm on 100. I'm this every day. I'm always ready to go. I'm not a moody person. I'm literally like this all the time. Very typically, unless I'm really tired. He's always down here. He's always mellow. He's always ready to go. He can cut up and have a good time, but I'm here, he's here, and the beauty is that we meet in the middle. We like the same music, we like the same jokes and all those things, but personality-wise, he is so mellow and I'm so not. Wow. So I'm all over the place. I talk all the time. He's quiet.
and sometimes, like, I had to bring her in sometimes, and then sometimes she has to bring me out.
Yes.
Just like, so, like, she's like, okay, go out, okay.
And this is what he does to me when I get too far out. He goes,
I had
okay,
to calm her down.
Okay, girl.
And then when we go out somewhere, it's like, Jonathan, I'm gonna need you to talk.
Yes, because then I carry the weight of the conversation, because we're talking to you and he's just like,
I'm just chilling.
Or he's looking around. He's fine.
I'm fine.
And I'm like, yeah, so and so. Okay, well, so in those ways we're opposites. So we literally have to be in tune to each other. And I think we've grown that over the years, but it was literally being intentional about continuing our friendship and growing as we
and communication
as we evolve. Because communication in the beginning, I am like, okay, this is the problem, and here's how you fix it.
And I didn't.
And he's
I didn't receive that well.
There's no problem. What do you mean?
Right.
But we learned to meet in the middle, I think. And I try to hush a little bit, and he tries to open up, you know, which is
right.
What it
and
comes
that's what because we can't be the same old people we were back in
back in 2000.
Whatever.
Did y'all difficult moments really illustrate the growth that both of you all had?
Wow. Absolutely.
Yes.
And I think one of the things, going back to your original question, is purpose, like God's purpose. And I think that's like just been a running theme in our lives, because if any one thing had been different in our courting, our friendship, and how we met and all those things, we wouldn't be together. That it would not exist. And I think it's the same thing with if my dad had not passed. I don't think my dad passed for that moment. But when tragedy happens, there are ripple effects in your life.
Right.
I think that he passed because that was God's purpose for his life. But as a ripple effect, I learned and I grew as a person. I don't think that God took him from me to because I needed to grow.
Right.
I think that he fulfilled his purpose and it was time for him to go home. Right. However, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have been as prepared for this moment. You know, when John lost his dad, and you know, when I lost my nephew, it had a very similar feel to when his brother passed. You know,
wow.
So it's like all of those things were ripple effects of God's purpose. And so we continue to try to walk in God's purpose for our lives together, as well as individuals. So we do maintain things that. Or I try to, as a mom, I struggle with separating Sharonda and mommy. And, you know, he tells me this all the time, like, girl, go, yeah. You know, it's going to be fine. But individually we try to grow, but also we always, even more, I think sometimes more than individually, we grow together and we do things together. We go to Walgreens at 10 o'clock at night together, and we just talk and we laugh and we listen to music. So everything that we try to come full circle when things are difficult, and just maintain our friendship, because that's it's literally the core. And I think that's God's purpose, because out of our friendship develops so many beautiful things, just from our people that we've taught to people that we help. And you know, we still get phone calls, hey, Miss Bullock, can you so Miss Bullock, you know. So I think out of our friendship has grown, like it took on its own entity almost.